The myths of muddy water. Ready, running guns, time for blast off. Let's go. Hey guys, Todd here with you. Welcome back to Bassin 101. Truck talking muddy water myths. I've seen some videos on YouTube, some a while back, some recent, of guys basically saying, for every lure that's in your tackle box, you need to have clear water, stained water, muddy water colors for any situation you come across. There's a problem with that. And I bought into this too back a long time ago. I bought into this. I mean, I had, every bait that I had clear water colors and stained water colors and muddy water colors and sunny sky colors and cloudy day colors and and y'all can't tell me y'all haven't done it too. But to really simplify things, you have to keep in mind that when you're fishing muddy water, you're fishing shallow. Okay? Why would you have a 20-foot deep diving crankbait in a bright chartreuse color in case you come across muddy water? You think those bass are going to be 20 foot deep on a ledge when the water's muddy? They're going to try to get to where the light source is. So when you have muddy water, they're going to be in shallower water. They're also going to be, if they can find it, they're going to be buried up in cover because they can put their nose against something and see where, they know where they are. I'm sure bass see better in muddy water probably than we think they do. But I ain't never had a bass told me one way or the other. But why would you carry deep diving crankbaits in a bright chartreuse color? Why would you carry jerk baits in a bright color in case you come across muddy water? I could see maybe stained water on a cloudy day. I could probably see like a fire tiger or something like that. But when you got muddy water, now muddy water, I'm talking 6 inches or less. I mean, you're fishing chocolate milk. That's when you go and do stuff like big thumping spinner baits, big profile jigs, worms, square bill crankbaits. Those are the baits that I'm thinking myself that I would fish, and especially the lightest weight that I can get away with in a jig and a worm so it has a very slow fall. I'd probably choose a jig over a worm just for the simple fact it's a short, bulky package and it falls slower than a worm. That'd be the only reason I'd do it. Or I'd choose a jig over a worm. But why would you have, every color imaginable in your box for any situation to come across if that's not what the bass do when that situation hits? I mean, why would you, just like, let's say a blade bait, like a silver buddy or a Cordell gay blade or stuff like that, head and sonar. Why would you carry muddy water colors when that's not the particular bait you need to be throwing in muddy water? You see my point? But yet these guys on YouTube will tell you that you gotta have this and you gotta have that and everything. And a lot of those guys have gotten sponsors, so the money's talking. All right, that stuff you got to just put out of your head. But think about it for a minute. I mean, don't sit there and buy a particular bait and then start going color. Because is that going to be your choice? If the water does get muddy, is that going to be your choice? If the water's crystal clear, is a particular lure going to be your choice. And that's a good point too. But as far as the muddy water thing, I mean, it's just crazy. These guys will tell you, to make sure that you have, I saw this one guy. He was talking about the new Strike King. There's a new Strike King series in a deep diving crankbait. I can't remember what it was. I really don't follow up on it that much. You can only go so far with crankbaits anyway. But this guy was pushing them, and he was saying, so when you get into muddy water, this color right here, I found to be really good. This, that, and the other. I'm sort of thinking, dude, you really throw that in muddy water? I mean, unless you really want to slow crank that thing through brush piles and stuff like that, but you have to remember too, keep in mind, that's a good way to get that thing hooked up or hung up, because the bill is not doing its job. When you're cranking that thing along and it's moving along in the water or whatever, and them hooks are flying everywhere, that's how that thing stays weedless. But you go to barely crawl that thing through brush, and now those hooks are dangling down. They're going to grab whatever they grab. It's not like a square bill. So that, I don't know where that guy was coming from. I'm not going to mention names, but I don't know where that guy was coming from. But think about it, guys. In muddy water, it's shallow water, around cover. Keep your worms and your jigs light so they fall slow. Keep them dark so they can see them. Spinner baits, square bills. That's pretty much it. I mean, that's and especially if you're using moving baits like a square bill or a spinner bait, make the same cast over and over and over again. Give them a path to find that bait. Same thing with a jig and a worm. Pitch in the same place again and again and again and again and again. Knock that wood. Bump the stump, as we used to call it. And keep your colors simple. A white, a chartreuse, or a black. I know some guy, a buddy of mine, likes to throw bright orange. Okay, that's something they can see. And to them, it probably resembles like a bluegill or something, I guess. I don't know. But what do you guys think? So until next time, remember, new techniques are trendy, but bass never change. May the Father bless you and keep you in Yeshua's name, and as always, fish on.